Greetings and welcome everyone to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. Also, happy post-patch day, everyone. It came as we were promised it would, and we're going to break it down for you today. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, joined as always by Kyle Fergusson. Happy Thursday, Kyle.
Happy Thursday, Garrett. Happy Buffs Day. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Buffs. Ooh, buffs.
Oh,
buffs.
wow. Yeah, I see what you went for there, man. I don't know, man. I'm excited. I feel like I've been spoken to by these notes. Last episode did a big old thing about Guitar Hero Auto Attack ETC. Here we are living in new Auto Attack ETC land.
Really obvious synergy. Beating you over the head with what talents you should take if you take a certain talent.
They even updated the picture so you can match the pictures as you go.
I don't know if you noticed, dude. I literally made a note that I was like, Kyle, I'm going to ask you questions about this exact thing down in the ETC section. I was going through it, because I skimmed over ETC when I first saw the patch notes go up. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll take a look at this tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to play any games with him tonight. And was going through it today, and I was like, oh damn, I should have paid closer attention because this has Kyle's bovine name written all over it.
Yes. So much so that I made a video for Heroes Hearth about how to play the build and then had to redo the video to talk about the new build of the new thing.
I'm so sorry.
No, it was like I took a chance. I said, they're not going to update ETC 2 patches in a row. I'm safe here. My little 5% pick rate build is going to be perfectly fine. And it wasn't. But I want to shift gears real quick before we get into these patch notes.
Are we shifting up or shifting down?
Down would be slowing down, right?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know if what I'm about to say it's faster or slower, but it's exciting.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up that before we dive into notes, with a 3-week timer, and we go into August and September, so we might have 2 more patches before the CCL fires up in earnest in October.
Oh, that's a good thought. That's a good thought because dude, there's some hype. There's some hype. There's some serious money behind this. So I'm excited for it, and I would be. I'm expecting some good viewership.
It's going to be interesting. So we talked a bit about it in the previous weeks, and we certainly talked about it last week, but Heroes Hearth has announced their new version of CCL, which has organizations, a player draft, and a stipend for the players who are participating, as well as donations and bits turning into greater prize pools as it goes. So basically we have our own, grassroots esports event with crowdfunding baked into it coming up in October. That could mean that all these crazy things the team keeps giving us, I'm thinking particularly in the level 20 area, could be changing, could be very different. And that's highlighted further by these auto attack builds, which simply aren't very capable in organized play because there's so much CC, so much targeting happening, that these sorts of builds, like the one we're going to talk about in ETC, just isn't that valuable in those environments. So I'm very curious to see what we do leading up to that. If the team at Blizzard is going to get excited or going to have any ideas that they want to fix or change before that time. Previously, every time we would go into the New Year's, break from HGC, they'd be like, wow, we need to do something about globals. There's way too many globals. Let's tune these down. Let's increase cooldowns. And then they'd slowly buff those back in over the course of the year when they found that those players were no longer picking those heroes. So I'm really curious to see if this is one of our last solo queue oriented Storm League patches, and if we go into something more coordinated again.
I mean, you could also see a divergence, right? Which is something we always like to talk about back in the HGC days, which was unless it was something as obvious as, well, this hero just doesn't work in uncoordinated play. But if we started getting down to nitty gritty, certain builds worked for coordinated play and certain builds didn't, and so they were, maybe better for pickup games, and that could also happen. You could try to shore up something like an AA build for ETC that might bring the value in a game with 5 randos all on a team together, but that's not how we see ETC built out in a coordinated environment. And there's no reason they couldn't manipulate 2 different builds for a hero like ETC as an example.
Well, and it's going to be so different than it was. We were so focused on HGC when it came to balanced patches. I have loved that post-HGC world when it comes to our home game. Just in the diversity of picks, the willingness to try other builds. Of course, we don't have our community leaders stranglehold, if we want to be negative, on some builds. I remember playing Lightning build Alarak, which was just hated upon hated, and then it happens at one BlizzCon, and all of a sudden it's accepted. Nothing changed, and it drove me nuts. But it's part of the atmosphere of esports.
Yeah. So we don't know, man. A lot has changed since then, like a lot, and so we'll see how it goes. But I would imagine it will have some sort of impact on balance, because it's a big spotlight on coordinated play. So
yeah, how can it not? Like, how could you not put it on the background at work at Blizzard? How can you not receive some information from that viewing party, or at least being aware of it? Like, we are really, really lucky to have people on the team who play at high rank. I don't really know a lot of the other games very well. It's not fair for me to say. All I can do is echo what I hear all the time about World of Warcraft, and people are always like, oh, the team can't play at the heroic or mythic level, and that they don't understand what players need. And our developers do. They see those things, but they can only see so much. I really do feel like a grassroots esport event can showcase things that might be broken, might be weak, and really change up the game in an interesting way.
We'll see. I'm stoked for it, and like I said, it's probably have 2 more patches between now and then. So let's see what happens. Anyways, before we get into the meat of today's show, which is going to be breaking down the patch for you, we do want to thank those of you who are supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If you like what Kyle and I do here on Untitled Nexus and you want to support the show, that is the best way to do so. And you can support at whatever amount works for you. It's completely opt-in. So go check it out. Get some perks. Access to our Discord, sign up for our monthly game nights with us. So it'll be it's a good time. It's good people over there. So go check it out. Patreon.com/ITN. And now, Kyle, let's get into this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
Oh, it's a patch day. I mean, technically yesterday was patch day, but it's a big old honking patch day. And as we have been doing for many, many patches now, we will just be going in order. So if you want to follow along at home, you can. If you're watching on video, you can just follow along right here now. So let's just get right into it with tanks, Kyle. Anubarak, a name I always get excited about when I see it in patch notes, at least in the last year, because they're done beating him into submission. So the dev said that we saw some feedback that Anubarak's Burning Rage could be better themed for the hero, and we agree. We present to you Burning Beetles. Kyle, Burning Rage is gone, and in its place is Burning Beetles. So if you don't remember, it's okay. I will tell you now, Burning Rage did 23 damage per second. In like a little AoE around Anubarak himself. Burning Beetles. Now each little beetle that's out on the freaking battleground have a burning aura around them, dealing 21 damage every second.
But not quite. Every beetle's burning for 7, but you're still burning for 21. So you
wild.
You lost 2 burning damage.
I read this wrong.
You gave more than 5 to your beetles. You might have multiple beetles.
Gotcha. I read this wrong. Okay. That's even more exciting. I was already excited. I was already freaking excited, but that's great. I don't see how this is anything but a win. Burning Rage was already the most popular talent. That being said, level 13 does have a lot of talent diversity. But they're all pretty much in the same ballpark for win rate and I like this way better.
The whole immolation, burning rage thing, holy fury, is a really interesting dilemma. I know for a fact on Johanna, it is overpicked, and often because people want more lane clear, which is crazy because you already have lane clear baked into your condemn, and you can use earlier talents like Sin's Exposed to get you that lane clear in the first place. Roar, Blessed Hammer even, sometimes poking the backline very randomly. If we're dealing random damage, there are other options on our heroes. But this one gets really interesting because of the beetle part of it. It is a pretty dramatic increase in lane clear and camp clear. Granted, we're talking, 13 talent, so it's up against acid dripped mandibles. I don't know. I've got one big critique. One big critique for the team. I need Frostfire. This is red fire. Really need it to be blue.
My critique is it's not enough. Anubarak is still a niche tank, I think, at best.
I agree. I don't want to hit him while he's down or anything like that. I think Anub is a tricky customer. He brings a butt ton of CC.
Yes.
Just 2 base stuns, Cocoon, which has been a problem. I mean, we're looking at a lower win rate on Cocoon, which makes perfect sense, but a 78% pick rate. All that stuff is absolutely part of his overall power pie. I would love to see a world where chitinous plating is baked in. Or, even more exciting for me, maybe we get a little bit into like the Tacitor Tracer era problems, but how cool would it be if his trait was just that he gets the spell armor whenever he has a shield? So if he receives a shield from another character, if he gets a shield from a Subterranean shield at 7, he still benefits from that armor.
It's a little cute. I don't think a lack of spell armor is what's really hurting him. Like, that's where he shines, taking him into a spell damage composition. So doubling down on that, I don't see how that helps shore him up.
I see what you're saying. I'm saying that he is so good in that one niche that with what's the point of other talents in some regards? It's an odd blanket statement because there is that every once in a while, and I've had that one game 1 in 100 really since the last year and a half, where I've taken a Nubrak because Lunara, Li Ming on the enemy side, and that was the damage. And maybe even a Lucio or something like that to make it a little more extreme. But we're getting to kind of silly levels of spell damage that I'm going to be doing a full shield build into. And if that was just baked in, maybe, then I would have more places to go when I'm in that niche. So I see what you're saying. Let's take let's take Anubarak and elevate him to tank status, regardless of comp.
Yes, and you're saying let's make him better in a place where he's already good?
I'm saying
is how I'm
that,
interpreting what you're saying.
I'm saying that when you get to pick him correctly, the build is already set for you in the first place. So he's not exciting, even when he should be at his most exciting.
Fair. I guess that I don't have a lot of enthusiasm for that. I don't go, oh, yes, Anubarak, even better in the place where I was already taking him and excited about that fact.
I also want to know, like, what's the plan with the auto attack stuff? Because Beetlejuiced is a cool talent. This is a level 16, and we're thinking about it because of burning Beetles here, but passive, Beetles gain 40% increased health. Every third basic attack against an enemy hero spawns a Beetle. If I could get that on any basic attack, non-heroic, we open up a world of Beetle build. I'm spawning Beetles from Battlefield of Eternity Immortals, from clearing lanes, which burning Beetles can help with. Again, we're talking about, mid-late game tanks clearing lanes and doing camps, and it's kind of, solo queue. It happens from time to time, particularly based on your league. But which part is the right part? Because Diablo makes sense. Diablo auto attacks heroes gets health back with life leech. That's a good limitation for Diablo, who's all about killing heroes. But ETC is now auto attacking anything and getting his benefits from his auto attack build. So where does a Nubarak go? Which one of these are he?
Well, as it stands, I think like the worst of both worlds, right? Because you're not getting value from auto attacking anything that's not a hero, and you're not getting instant value in either case because it takes 3 attacks to even spawn a beetle. And then unless you talented into leeching scarabs, your beetles aren't helping you survive outside of nitty gritty, very specific scenarios like absorbing Li Ming shots or something.
You know what? I think you just solved it. Let's take Beetle Juiced and put it as part of leeching scarabs. Let's get some beetles with our auto attacks that heal us so we can start this auto attack tank thing in the early game rather than the late game when CC has started to climax to a ridiculous amount that auto attacks lose their value.
Okay, all right. I didn't realize that I just solved it, but I like that idea.
Yeah.
But, hearing you talk about Diablo A versus ETC A and then how does Nubarak stack up, not very well, I think, as it stands.
It's a great auto attack. He's got those crazy little claw arms, and he kind of winds them up as he walks in, which I've always just loved about Here's the Storm.
It's so satisfying to land an auto attack as a Nubarak. I'm with you there, man. I'm talking more about its effectiveness, not its satisfaction.
There is a joy to a Nubarak that I want to recapture because Rewind exists. The idea that I can turbo unload all of these abilities, have 3 beetles plus the ones that spawned either from auto attacks or from my passive early on, and then rewind and do it again and have this huge legion of beetles attacking targets and running around in circles. That's fabulous. I love that. And I want to recapture that fantasy.
That is,
and I want to play more Nubarak.
Yeah, I do too. And Beetle build is one of my favorite builds of any hero over the entire history of Heroes of the Storm. But I'm still not convinced. I still don't think it brings home the Beetle bacon. But
it doesn't.
Yeah, which we've gotten lost in a pretty deep dive here, which is pretty very laser focused on pointing out where we think Nubarak is kind of failing. So I would like to bring it back around and say that I love this talent and think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's a very cool flavor. Blue fire, please. Blue fire, please.
Have you like taken him out for a spin with burning beetles and popped all of your ability? There's so many numbers. There's so many numbers on screen at once. It's so satisfying.
Oh, it's nice. It does pretty good damage. I was highest on my team. I beat out nearly a Kael'thas, and it was a quick match. So I was running around and spawning as many beetles as possible.
That's like a old school top damage Gazlo, right? Where like a lot of that damage is random and not necessarily going where you want it to go, but it's still, disruptive as all hell.
Right, but there's so many cute things in here, like Bed of Barbs, which isn't that level 4 talent tier isn't a required for beetle build, and putting down a slowing area for 25% means more beetle connects. And it was just a lot of fun. There's so many things I want cleaned up. I want a world where he doesn't just unburrow early if you can't go all the way through. Maybe that means we just need to bacon Underking. He's so ripe for so many bacons. Nerubian armor at level 1, increase hardened Carpus's spell armor by 20 is just boring. And it's doing what you already want him to do in the first place.
Yeah, man, you're not wrong. Level 4, I mean, yeah, okay, I don't know. I mean, increasing Burrow Charge's range is awesome. Unfortunately, it's against Bed of Barbs, which is just an amazing talent.
I think that Artanis landed it. Early release Artanis was this just trap machine. You'd play one game of Artanis and you're like, oh my goodness, okay, like I'm a level 1 like spawn zealot from the gateway, like hoo-ha, let's walk out on the field. And then by level 20 you'd be doing all this crazy crud that early Artanis couldn't get away with. So you load up a second Artanis game and you'd suck because you just got done with the game where you were amazing.
I mean, well, welcome to MOBAs, man. Like, what are you gonna do? Come on. I mean,
but But he has a natural rhythm to him. With the addition of the bacons for Artanis, like along the way, you don't really miss a lot of those talents on your way there, and they feel like good power spikes.
Corny points out something that seems borderline insane as well, which is his regeneration master at 1 still requires 30 globes.
That's a lot of globes.
It's a lot of freaking globes, man. That's
it
a
also
ton.
Well, this is the horse is down and we are just beating the crap out of it, but it also hurts a little bit extra on regeneration master because it's like increase Anubarak's health, and you're like, but you took it away. I don't want it anymore.
I'm trying to find out how to tie a bow on this, and it's like, because you hear me talk about this all the time, that I kind of like heroes that feel old. Like I like it when it feels like it's something that could have existed in like a tech alpha. Like we have so many very cool, flashy mobile heroes now that I get excited about the idea of getting to play Raynor and just stutter step and play and control a standard hero. But I don't know. There's like a good version of that, and there's like a not so good version of that, and that's, I think, when you and I start talking about this concept we always bring up is like, what's feeling moldy, what's feeling stale, and I think it's an Uberak. Look, we looking at all of his talents here, especially now with Burning Beetles. This is hot. This is a cool talent, and no pun intended on that. This is hot, but I think it might be time for a light rework, not a full one.
I agree.
Because my favorite thing about Anubarak, it's been perfect right out the gate, and I don't want it to change, which is he brings double stuns. Like, at the end of the day, that makes or breaks this hero. That's the identity of Anubarak as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, dude, now that we're kind of like taking a minute to look at his talents, could use some sprucing up.
They're kind of boring.
Yeah.
They're kind of boring.
Speaking of kind of boring, let's talk about Arthas.
Oh, no, you be nice. They're trying.
There's one thing here I'm really freaking excited about.
Okay.
The downside is it's level 20. So
sure, but it's also the one we complain about the most.
It is. It's really good. It's really freaking good, man. I did this is rough to we're like, I promise the whole episode won't be like this, but they're starting with 2 of my all-time favorite heroes that I think have just been left behind.
Sure.
So Arthas, Howling Blast range has been increased by 1. Dev's comments say that Howling Blast has been the same for a very long time, almost since the inception of the game. Many things have changed since then, and we believe a range increase is warranted due to how average ranges of various abilities and effects have changed since that time. Cool. I'm not going to complain about this.
Sure.
Good change. Base level increases to the base kit, always a good thing. Always going to move the needle a little bit for a hero. Sometimes we need to wait a week or 2 to see that needle move on the stats, because then people start playing the hero that have never played it before. But whatever the case is, this is always exciting. However, this is very tame. One more range on Howling Blast. It's good. That's all I really have to say about that. Level 1 Frost Presence, the bonus range to Howling Blast has been reduced from 30 to 20. They make up for that base range increase. Makes sense. It was interesting. I haven't taken a good hard look at Arthas' talents performance in a while. Frost Presence is the most popular, but the lowest win rate at level 1. Arthas' block talent Rhyme is bringing home the bacon, like with a significantly higher win rate. So that one, it's almost at 54%. If we look at the stats from the last patch. Because we have less than a day of the most recent patch to look at. So, and then Death's Advance at level 20. It is now an E talent, which is a little misleading because it now has new functionality. It reads increased movement speed by 10%, Frozen Tempest maximum slow and attack speed slow increase from 40 to 60%. That increased movement speed has nothing to do with your E. That's just a base increase to Arthas' movement speed. You don't have to have your E active to be moving faster. You're just always moving faster on foot. And it is awesome. And that slow feels gross. Yeah. I love it. So this does excite me. But I haven't been able to get a game to get to 20 on Arthas yet against real people.
Sure, because you're winning so hard.
No. No. Because the other team has a mag.
What is Chromie's slowing sands amount? 70. So we're actually getting pretty close to slowing sands.
Yeah, now it does build over time, right? You have to stack it up to that 60% on Arthas. And maybe you also talented into rooting people when your stacks get too high. But yeah, overall, this is way better, I think, than it was before.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I've got a request for Arthas.
Oh?
I want Rhyme to become sexier. And when I think of sexy block talents, Sonya's first to come to mind. Amazing block talent. I would love it if she gets a charges refresh 200% faster while Fury's movement speed bonus is active. Let's either take Rhyme and attach it to the Tempest or Frostmourne.
How would you attach it to Frostmourne Hungers? Would it just be a chunk of recharge anytime you land a hit of Frostmourne Hungers?
Yeah, maybe a chunk of recharge. Maybe you get a stack of block whenever you hit with Frostmourne Hungers. Like, give us something to give me some control over this. But I totally understand why Rhyme is right.
I need to pull up cooldowns.
Because we store up to 3 charges on Rhyme, 5 seconds.
So 10 seconds on Frostmourne Hungers. And Rhyme, you gain a stack every 5 seconds, and you can store up to 3. I think that's fine.
And I know like some Arthas mains out there might be dying inside because this is working as intended. You are not in a battle for 15 seconds. You lumber into the battle with 3 stacks of block. That's exactly what Arthas needs in order to get on top of the enemy and survive that engage. So I don't want to make it like Mal'Gannis's armor or his block talent where he needs to pop somebody to get that block because Arthas just isn't that speedy or that invasive. But I'd love for something more active to do.
Yeah. I think I can't agree with you more on the subject of tough as nails for Sonya.
I got it. You're a Dragon Ball Z fan.
That's putting it mildly.
If Frozen Tempest doesn't hit a hero for 2 seconds, you get a stack of block.
So you're powering up?
Yeah, you're in Alterac Pass and you're not in battle yet, but Arthas is standing there going shoo, 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 around him with no one in range as frostiness accumulates on his body.
All right. Okay. As cute as that is, Kyle, and as much as you coded it and as much candy coating from me as you could have, I don't want to teach people to be doing that. Why are you there sucking up your mana? What are you doing? What are you doing with yourself?
Listen, you can get nano boosted, get some of that mana back. You'll be fine.
Yeah, no. Just no. That's somebody make a supercut of all of the times Kyle said overquesting.
Okay.
and send it in, please.
Okay. All I'm saying is I want something active to do.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think Sonya's Sonya's block talent is a wonderful poster child for how to make block an interesting hero specific talent. And yeah, I mean, Arthas that's just like old school block. Like it just wait and it'll come back.
Man, I'm kind of nuts in love with my idea though. Like, what if it increased in area if it didn't hit heroes? What if it went for 10 seconds without hitting a hero and you activated Icebound Fortitude? I
am so against incentivizing not getting people in your aura.
Yeah. What if it had a downside too? Like it went so long that if you left it on for too long, you would be stun locked because, you sat on the frozen throne and froze. You're just in an ice block.
You need to leave now. You just
okay. All right, I'm done.
Off the program. Chat room, who wants to take Kyle's spot?
All right, moving on.
Yeah. It's just to me, like the Howling Blast and the Frostbite Chain, just like that's very subtle. Death's Advance is super exciting. It's just not something you're going to interface with every game. And
yeah, but I think that it's very cool 20. I take it. I would take that.
Great 20. absolutely. And Arthas has some of the more mild 20s, which we have talked about ad nauseum. And so this is actually getting something that we want. It's just,
yeah.
I saw Arthas and I was like, and I read Death's Advance first, and then I worked my way back, and I was like, oh, shoot. Death's Advance got my hopes up for some really exciting changes at earlier levels, and I'm like, oh no, Frost Presence is just getting reined in because of a base change. So
all good steps.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to Mr. Blaze. Mr. Blaze, they said while they achieved their previous goal of making Incendiarator Gauntlets a powerful PvE option, they overshot a bit and are reducing its power to be more in line with what other warriors can bring to the table in this area. So yeah, bonus damage to minions, mercenaries, and monsters reduced from 70% all the way down to 50%. Also, if you're an Endurance Stimpack fan, which if statistics are anything to go by, nobody is. But you got a 10% boost to its shield amount. Like, hey, it's a good buff. It's a good buff to an activatable shield. But yeah, I don't think any Blaze players are going to be throwing parties.
No, probably not. The Incinerator Gauntlets was what was making Blaze not playable, but exciting. And there's going to be a lot of bummed Blazes in the world. Endurance Stimpack, it's still shielding, and I love that it auto activates. That's a very cool thing for all leagues of play. You know, you don't want it to auto activate maybe in higher leagues, so use it earlier.
It doesn't have to. You can activate it yourself, but if you let it get down to, I think it's 30%, it auto pops.
Yeah, exactly. And that's great for all sorts of different levels of play. And there's some like counterplay available there too, of maybe making him pop it and disengaging for a hot moment. If the shield was the most amazing thing on the planet, which is a level 1 talent. So I'm going to assume it's not. They're also crazy about new habits because the majority of solo queue players run combustion. Coordinated players run bunker drop and take even more advantage of things like Incinerator Gauntlets. So I think this is really a big blow to his excitement right now.
Yeah.
But it had to be done.
He was overperforming in that one avenue. The problem is he doesn't have a lot of other stages to overperform in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where my brain settles there. But all right, let's have the great ETC discussion, because you've been hot and heavy on the old cow. That sounded terrible. What's with my phrasing today? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but the dev said they were a little hesitant to make talent changes to ETC due to how well he has been performing, even though we felt he could use some help in that department. We don't believe that holding off indefinitely on needed talent improvements just because a hero is performing well serves our heroes in the best way over the long term. So we're making these improvements and we'll adjust accordingly once we see how they settle. I like that a lot. That to me sounds very open. Like they're kind of going, you might think this is crazy, but hear us out, because we like this is something we want him to do, and we don't just want to keep waiting because he just happens to be doing well.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot. Gives me a good idea of where their heads are at. And so let's look at it, because you already talked about being really excited about your auto attack build, which is something you've already been talking about. And every time you mention it, man, it riles some people up in the chat room. I love it. It's great. Makes people really excited. Is the term I'm going to choose to use. So level 1 guitar hero, the duration bonus has been doubled. It used to be a quarter second duration. Now it's a half second duration. The healing received has been reduced by 60% to 50% of damage dealt. But you were just talking about this last week, that you love Guitar Hero, that you love going this, that you love keeping the duration going by landing auto attacks. Well, now, Kyle, it is 100% easier to keep that duration going than before. You have a 100% larger window to land your next auto attack.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I mean, I'm a huge fan of taking care of myself as tank, decreasing the burden on my healer, letting them take care of the crazy and wild assassins for a type in half the time. Anyway, like, everybody's busy, and they don't need to be healing ETC all the time. And I have taken Prog Rock. I have taken Block Party. In recent memory, I just 2 days ago, I fought a hammer. And so I did Block Party. And the range is not huge. We're talking like, we're just talking about Arthas. So like Frozen Tempest, maybe even smaller. But I'd be like, here, Hanzo. Okay, Hanzo, nice. He's got one. I'm going to go over here and on Li Ming. And I kind of went back and forth and was giving people charges of block. It's great. It's fine. Prog Rock has a very small area as well. if people are on top of you, you're going to heal them. But I feel like both of these are overvalued in the general sense. And taking care of yourself, getting auto attacks, and being able to be like, hey, let's get a keep. Oh, we have no minion wave. Well, let me ETC just walk on in there and auto attack the build over and over again and keep my health high. And now they went through and at level 7, Hammer On made it so that it's not a follow through talent. It's not 2 charges of bonus auto attack at 40%. It is while guitar solo is active, basic attacks deal 30% more damage. So every auto attack you perform increases the duration of guitar solo by 0.5 seconds. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's like the most obvious synergy ever. It's just like, hey, I took this talent at level 1 that incentivizes me to land auto attacks to get more and more value out of the level 1 talent that I chose. How would you like an additional talent that just makes it better if you're landing auto attacks?
Yeah, and then at 16, you get aggressive shredding. Basic attacks reduce the cooldown of guitar solo. So you've got yourself a constant guitar solo, overlapping even if you can auto attack the whole time. And really, this comes down to some impatience as well on my part, and a mistake that I'm working hard to rectify. So when I'm mounted, let's say I'm going to Sky Temple Objective, that'll be a very pretty one here. And I mount up, and I'm missing like half my health. I ride into the Sky Temple area, and I just start smacking the Temple Guardian over and over again. Smack, 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 and my health is going up. I'm fully topped by the enemy by the time the enemy gets here. When doing Block Party or Prog Rock, that is a much more boring execution. I do not mount because I have to guitar solo as I walk there. And I'm walking on my feet. And then I when I'm halfway there. And then I have full health when I finally get there. And I slowly get worked down and then whir my health back up. Whereas with my build, I can just zoom straight to the thing and start auto attacking and take care of myself. I can solo a boss at 16, and it is the slowest thing on the planet, but it can be done, and you end it with full health. This build is outrageous, but let's just counter everything I just said with you have to auto attack. And ETC is very, very squishy when it comes to getting focus fired. Once that 25 armor is gone, which isn't that much, you're dead. And in coordinated play and high tier play, people aren't going to let you auto attack. People are going to kite you. They're going to lock you down if you're out of position. And this gives you no benefit during mosh pit. It is the slower version of the lane clear for 7 if you're doing like a global, stage dive thing, because you should probably have echo pedal for that unless you're playing like an assassin thing. We have blinds in the game that could ruin this. It's not by any means the perfect build. But in solo queue, where you can reliably auto attack the enemy tank and just get a bunch of tomfoolery done, super duper fan. Plus, the thing I should be working on is not being in lane because tanks aren't supposed to be seen. So you're like pressuring and it's like, oh, where's ETC? He could stun us at any point. He's in the bush. Oh my God. I shouldn't be clearing lanes in the first place.
But
it's a
pickup game. You don't, It's not always perfect. You don't always get to make that declaration. I mean, you can, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't make the lane clear you're missing from draft any more like not there.
No, I'm not gonna sit in my bush and they're like ETC soak bottom. I'm like, I'm anchoring. I'm zoning.
You won't. Somebody will.
Somebody will, yes, and they'd be technically correct.
Yeah,
but that's not how the world works.
Is Crowd Surfer and the change to it why you want like Arthas to get rewarded for not using his Frozen Tempest as intended?
That might be in my head. I wasn't really thinking about it too much.
Because
Crowd Surfer,
I like the design of this. So Crowd Surfer got additional functionality where if Power Slide hits no enemies, you get to reduce its cooldown by 5 seconds and refund its mana cost. I like this because you can just use it to move quicker and not as an engage, and you're not going to be waiting as long for it to come back up. Because of what taking Crowd Surfer allows you to do, I'm fine with it. If you're power sliding and you don't hit an enemy hero, like sometimes you just need to get somewhere quicker. So that's cool. I think that's good design.
Right.
What you put forward for Arthas, I'm not as on board for.
Well, and here it's up against Loudspeaker, which is the counter to most tanks we run. Garrosh Mal'Ganis, Blaze, Imperious, gotta push that guy back. And you need that bigger area to make sure you have a bigger reaction time. Diablo. Loudspeaker is really hard to pass on. And if you're doing an auto attack build, Speed Metal gives you 20% movement speed to you and your allies, so you can more reliably hit things with your auto attacks. So there are way better options for this build we're talking about today. Problem with Crowd Surfer is it's not allowed in Heroes Lounge and I believe NGS because there's a chance you can go outside of terrain outside of the map. There are areas where you can bug it out. And so this will go underpicked until whatever that bug is, and I'm not sure exactly how to abuse it, and I really don't want to know, is addressed.
Cool. Anything else? Any of these other talents you're stoked about, or are you just auto attacking like crazy?
Yeah, no, let's take a hot moment to talk about Encore.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, Encore.
So additional functionality, enemy heroes knocked back by face melt or amp reduce ETC's heroic cooldown by 8%.
Yeah. So if you hit a mosh pit, it's 120 seconds.
Yep.
It's long. It's supposed to be long. You're supposed to have this every other fight. Messing with the cooldown of mosh pit or its heroic ability, so stage dive as well, but mosh pit is really dangerous. This seems crazy. And the Encore is what leaves behind the amp that does a secondary knockback, and that works for this cooldown reduction too. So last night, when I took Encore, I got 35 seconds or so off with one cast of face melt and the amp left behind, which messed with the enemy's perspective.
Whoa. Wow. That's a lot. From a single cast?
Yeah, because you're looking at oh man, the math is like well, we could probably do the math, right? 8% of 120.
Give me just a second and I can tell you exactly what it is.
I think it's like 9 or 7.
9.6.
9.6. Okay, cool. So 9.6 per hero hit, and this is all heroes hit. So you hit a whole team of 5, and then the amp is behind, and they're all doing like the false dad walk into the mighty gust kind of level 20 thing, where they're like, "Oh, get him! Oh wait, knocked back again." That's another go of that 8% per hero.
I guess it just seems like, because you only have so much control over that the amp you leave behind, right? Like,
Sure.
That's just you saying, I hope they misplay.
You should be pushed off and then not walk into it a second time, because that is really, really bad. And that is information we're sharing. I think that with the recent cooldown increase on face melt, people have found mic check less attractive. It's a really interesting thing, but we're seeing this as well with Johanna right now. People don't want to do hold your ground at 1 because they increase the cooldown. No one wants to take a talent that just puts it back to the old cooldown. And it still has a very high pick rate, but the win rate on it is even lower than it was before, which makes sense. But still, like, mic check in general was already looking unseductive to a lot of people. People were starting to experiment with face melt, which gives a 50% slow.
Yeah, the pick rates are basically split. Mic check 46%, face melt 41%. Win rates identical. They're both sitting at a 51% win rate.
And it's extra interesting because it's not really good in any environment, this Encore business. In solo queue, I don't want the amp because my poor Kel'Thuzad or Jaina is trying to aim at the damn thing I'm trying to hit in the first place. So I push it away, and then they're like, okay, all right, well, nice job, ETC, thank you, you ruined my blizzard, but let me fire, and then the amp ruins the second shot. Now, it's very destructive. And in coordinated play, you're simply not spamming your ult that frequently because everybody's paying laser focused attention to ETC's ults. So you can mess with the cooldown perspective in their minds, but they're still going to spread. They're not going to be, exposing themselves to fate or to mosh pits in the first place.
Yeah. Though, reducing stage dive, not the worst thing in the world if you're on a map where that's the way you're going.
Sure.
Really, Encore versus mic check thing, like, I look at it a lot simpler. Like, whatever the case is, there's chance involved in that amp. You don't personally control it. There's also value in that. Even if you don't hit it because they decided not to pursue, you stop the pursuit. that otherwise probably would have taken place. So even if it doesn't hit, there's still value gained in zone control. But the big thing between Mic Check and Encore is that control, right? The way it previously was, you took Mic Check because you got a cooldown reduction if you hit at least 2 targets. That's on you. You should know if you're going to hit at least 2 targets or more to get that cooldown reduction. And so that is value you have control over. And you're not just chancing that you get value from the amp left behind with Encore. But now that not only are you getting that heroic cooldown, you get that heroic cooldown based on any knockback, including one by your ability that you control. They've now built in control into Encore, on top of the fact that it just has this additional functionality that is just pure value.
And what's really cool about this is they took away the cooldown reduction from Crowd Pleaser, the Stage Dive Heroic, and increased the slow instead, now that we can get that cooldown reduction from another way. So we're looking at a 80% slow when you slam on top of people with Crowd Pleaser at level 20.
Yeah. Do you like it? Do you like that? Because I really liked the cooldown reduction personally.
I did. Honestly, the slow is more interesting to me.
Okay.
But that's because the world we're finding ourselves in with enemy tanks right now.
That's a really good point.
When they're attached and they're free to move, these and let's include Mal'Ganis in this.
Permission to bring back up a new Barak, by the way, at a point when you are ready to hear my thought you just reminded me of on a new Barak.
It's a really weird, it's a really interesting environment. It kind of feels like a World of Warcraft expansion, as though there is a thought philosophy that tanks, if attached, should be sustaining themselves. If they can reliably be in range, Garrosh's new 2 charges, health increase talent that allows him to, blood craze, is that what the talent's called? His not so good hit stitches heal that he does. All of our tanks are starting to get this very sticky style in terms of their survivability. Bloodthirst is the name of it.
I should have known that. I play Warriors in WoW.
And so reducing their speed by 80% and the amp itself is so disruptive and so helpful for a team that's trying to kite Diablo that these are the counterplay tools we need. It's just interesting that we're all, like, across the board, we're building this narrative. And it goes further with things like Muradin, who got a very small buff, but now when you complete his quest, his auto attacks restore mana. 3 mana, but still, his auto attacks when his quest complete reduce the cooldown of his Stormbolt. So in order to keep him in the battle longer, to make sure he doesn't have bad mana tension, as they put it, run out of mana, they gave it some mana back.
It's been working out too, by the way. Muradin's on the rise.
I'm interested by Muradin.
He's sitting higher than I believe ETC at the moment. I believe ETC's at a flat 50% win rate, and Muradin's actually at 51. And other tanks that we're happy to take are even lower than that. So I don't know.
And maybe that's why I'm all gung-ho about a new Barak maybe getting just earlier or easier to perform, as you put it, on hit rather than 3 charges, auto attack talents.
Yeah.
And it also makes me think about Johanna, who is just dying out there. She's suffering, man. And there's nothing for her this patch, and that's perfectly fine because I am happy to be passing on Johanna.
Listen. She's had her time. She's had her years. We can have a Johanna light meta for a little while. I am okay with that. Sometimes it's just nice to have a change, even if it's at this expense of kind of leaving a hero out. I'm on board for it. My thought with the new Barak was a very specific to Cocoon, and this is coming from just fighting a lot of maze while trying to try out a new Barak post this change. But also it's just this idea of the diving tank, right? That like gets there before the backline, their own backline is ready to fight, but they're effective enough that it doesn't matter. Like a Mal'Ganis that lands all of their stuns. It's fine. It gave them the time for team to catch up and execute. But the May is a really good example of this, right? Because goes in, drops the blizzard, all that crap, right? When the hell do I cocoon that? Because if I do it early enough to stop the blizzard, my team is just like, well, what do we do? Their team is so far away from us because they were waiting for the May to lead the charge, and you cocooned before anything happened. And if you cocoon any later, the blizzard goes down, the damage is done. It doesn't matter that the May is cocooned. And that's where I was just kind of staring at Nubarak going, why are you the way you are? Very much that moment of this divey tank meta where it's like the tanks kind of just go in first and stir everyone up. And then the team follows up. And it's just like, well, you kind of have to like let the blizzard do its thing and hope your team reacts accordingly and then cocoon when the actual fight starts. But it doesn't always go cleanly.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where it's hard to tell what part of the CC pile is the culprit as well. We fought a Bugin squad last night, and they gave us a Varian Stukov Kael'thas Raynor combo, where basically Raynor taunt into the Stukov silence, and then they'd stagger the Kael'thas stun after that, and you were dead. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's gross.
It was great, and it was fantastically executed. Like, which part of that 3-part do you cocoon? Probably the Varian running at you because he starts it, but in the actual team fight wise, maybe Stukov, we'd have to learn over time. And I talked about that in the past, in a long episodes ago, where we talked about cocoon more exclusively, about like Garrosh might be the problem, or maybe it's Morales. And during our double support meta, it was Malthael, Genji, Kerrigan, and these extreme alt characters that got the cocoon, just to cut it off. And that made the choice very obvious. And right now, it's not as pretty. And if we replace cocoon with something more like stage dive right now, that would work better in our current meta when everybody's kind of doing the same damage. Not, we still have our very low damage supports. Some are higher than others. Kairazim, around like 33,000. Ana around 12,000 on average, which is a little silly. I think Ana can do way more than that. But, people are so busy aiming. I don't blame them for only hitting 12. It's busy out there.
Yeah.
But let's say instead of cocoon, in our current meta, a Nubarak would need just webs, just like blah, 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 just an area of about mosh pit size that just gets really webbed up for a 70% slow. It's like a slowing sands kind of business. And he just makes a mess of things and clogs the battlefield. And that would be better for him.
Yeah, I agree. Now you're making me want Frozen Tempest just get a range increase on Arthas.
Maybe if you stood still for a little bit and you weren't hitting anybody, you could, Okay, well.
You charged it up like graduating range on hammer, because that's what I what I really want to take a page out of the book of is the hammer book. Yeah, Kyle, you're really selling me.
Whoa, what about your desecrate? What's it that grew bigger in the raid fight? You always talk about that.
Oh,
thing.
Defile. Yeah,
Defile.
How does he not have Defile? I don't know, man. I don't know.
And
then he can move faster on the Defile. Ah!
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm having a moment. Doesn't matter. Irrelevant. Whatever the case is. You're right. We're in the sticky tank meta, and which Nubarak should work. Nubarak can be sticky, but he just dies.
And we're talking. We're still talking about ETC, right? But this led to
This led into it once again, another meta discussion about tanks 1 hour into the program. But
it's interesting, and I think that our damage for the most part is really healthy right now. But we've moved our tanks into their health being dependent on their stickiness, which is really fun and active. And I think this is probably the best tank meta we've had in the history of the game, honestly. I'm picking a lot of different tanks, and it's very enjoyable.
It feels good to play. It feels bad to receive.
Right. Well, and when they get ahead, they're more sticky. It's kind of that Uther problem where like his heals suck when he's behind, and when he's ahead, they're perfectly good and they're amazing, and he's wrecking your face.
Yep.
Like, is that a result of a damage problem, perhaps? Like, we haven't addressed Imperius, and we're not going to today. And his pop out of Flash of Anger is absurd. But you didn't counterplay, and you stood in the thing, and you got hit by the Q, and was that the mistake that you made that led to this? I don't think the rest of our assassins, I can't think of a single assassin really that I feel like is overtuned. Mephisto's back in place. Orphea feels like you made a mistake. Raynor is just high enough damage for how easy he is that he still has counterplay because he hurts. He's really good, but there's a lot of counterplay opportunities.
Yep. Well, let's keep it moving and talk about Mei. Mei got some notable nerfs. Crystallize, level 4 talent. The armor amount was reduced from 50 to 40. This is the most picked talent at level 4 by a landslide victory, or should I say by an avalanche victory?
Oh, there you go.
And speaking of avalanche, its cooldown was drastically increased by a full 20 seconds, going from 70 to 90 seconds in the dev comments. They say it feels like she has too much uptime on its availability in team fights, and I could not frickin' agree more. I'm really glad that they did this. It's also a good time to point out that while Avalanche has... Stop looking at the notes, Kyle. Stop looking at the notes. What do you think the pick rate of Avalanche over Ice Wall is?
I'm going to go with Ice Wall at 13.
Really close. Yeah, Avalanche is picked 90% of the time.
Oh, wow.
90% of the time. So you're real close. Which means subtraction. Ice Wall was picked 10% of the time. But now Ice Wall is sitting at a much more attractive 70-second cooldown, and Avalanches take more time. Saw a lot of Ice Wall in my test games. Granted, it's all quick match. I'm trying out these new changes and whatnot, but I saw a ton of Ice Wall, and I'm not used to playing against it. I totally got by Ice Wall a few times because I'm not used to it. But there's enough warning. I think I'll get used to it. So, and then they shored up Cold Front and Flurry. Gave it some love because those are just woefully underpicked talents. So go try those out. And then Muradin, Kyle.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about him there with the quest and the mana. And
quest completion also causes Muradin's basic attacks to grant him 3 mana. And the devs basically chalked this up too. We didn't mean for him to have so much mana tension, so here's a little help.
Yep. Interesting stuff.
Yeah. So anyways, before we move on to Bruisers, we have a sponsor to thank for today's episode, Kyle. And that's Bombas Socks. They are back sponsoring this episode of Into the Nexus. You can give a pair of Bombas Socks when you buy a pair and get 20% off your first purchase over at bombas.com/Nexus. If you're unfamiliar with Bombas Socks, I mean, really, it just comes down to they're the most comfortable socks I've ever put on my toesies. They feel real good. Kyle. Even dress socks, which normally I'm you're a little itchy on top of the fact that I'm now in an extremely hard-soled shoe that doesn't have much flex to it. So it would have been nice if we were a little more comfortable. Bombas figured that out. It's great. Arch support? Didn't know that was the thing you could have in socks.
Yes, that's the one I'm most excited about because the running and the technology in socks.
Yeah, it's great. It's great stuff. They're always the first socks I wear out of the laundry every day if I can. And they do more than just keep feet cozy. They give back to the most vulnerable members of our community because for every pair of socks that you purchase, Bombas donates a pair to someone in need. The generosity of Bombas customers have allowed them to donate over 34 million pairs of socks and counting through their nationwide network of over 3,000 giving partners. So go check it out. Again, give a pair when you buy a pair and get 20% off your first purchase at bombas.com/Nexus. That is spelled BOMBAS.com/Nexus. And you're going to get yourself 20% off your first purchase. Check them out.
Chad's asking for a sock cam, and sadly my camera is fixed, but I am wearing my Bombas socks right now.
I am not that flexible. Yeah, mine is fixed as well, and it probably looks closer, but it's a lens, and it's I can't even reach it. So, anyways, check them out, bombas.com/Nexus. We thank them for their support, and we thank you for going to bombas.com/Nexus. Let's talk about Bruisers, starting with Chen Kai.
Why? This is freaky to me, honestly.
So dot damage is up on Breath of Fire. Got a little over a 3% increase. A really small uptick there, but still. Base damage is base damage, and this base damage is now higher. Freshens ingredients at 1. Got a 50% bump in the regeneration globe duration that talent gives you. And then celerity at 16 had the cooldown reduction increase from 1.5 to 2 seconds, so that's good as well. These are both freshens ingredients and celerity are underpicked talents, so they're pumping them up a little bit. And they said that they just wanted to give him some small buffs to help out his ability to pressure enemies as well as beef up some underperforming talents. So, I mean, this is a very small buff And these are indeed underperforming talents. So go, Chen players. You go. Please, if you're a GM,
They do.
I don't want to see you across the lane from my Rexar.
They do go, man. I mean, and Precious Ingredients is actually a very cool talent in the first place, increasing the healing duration of regen globes by 150.
You know that character that everyone rolls for their first D&D character?
Okay.
Aragorn, hood up in the corner of the tavern,
yeah.
Very sure of their capabilities.
My father, or your mom's missing, or
they want to be the super cool ringer that you need, the person with a certain set of skills, and everyone thinks that they've rolled that character. In Here's the Storm, you might think that character is like a Vala, actually has a hood, probably hangs out in the corner or whatever, or like an Alarak. He's got an attitude. He's like Raphael. He's cool but rude. No, that is definitely Chen. Because if your buddy is a Chen, they're like stoked on Chen. You know that they're just going to show up and like John Wick everyone's ass as this round and wonderful panda. That's how I feel about Chens. There are a few things that terrify me more than a first pick Chen. I don't like confident Chens scare me.
Yeah, and if we could bring it back to, we could just call this the Anubrak episode. 15 regeneration globes on that quest for him. What do we, and what do you like? Li Ming has to get.
It's a good point. It's a good point to bring that up. I don't think we should get that focused on how many regen globes. Really, can we? I'm just so done with those quests in general. Oh man, it's just so laborious.
Yeah, I feel you on that front too. What I find interesting about Precious Ingredients getting a buff is that you can't stop Chen from getting his globes for the most part. Like, there is a time that he has to grab them, and he's going to get in there and grab them. And he might even zone you off of yours. Like, there is counterplaying Li Ming out of her globes is one thing. She's got teleport, but she's squishy. She could die for it. Chen's not going to die. So this sort of talent buff kind of scares me. And also, as you mentioned, there are people who play Here's the Storm and they pick Vala, and I'm like, oh, you're a MOBA connoisseur. You sometimes play a little of this, something new comes out, you play that for a while, maybe you come back 2 months later. If you say you play Chen or Diablo, this is the only game you ever play, because you are so crazy stoked on these particular designs in a MOBA that you don't have anywhere else to go.
Pretty much.
Need that fixed.
Yeah. You are a specialist, and not in the old hero classification. So Deathwing, Molten Blood at level 1, healing has been increased by 0.5 to 0.6, Kyle. And you might think to yourself, boy, let me roll out the carpet of excitement for a 0.1 increase. But when you're dealing with numbers that small, that's a 20% increase.
Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. They said this was just to compensate for the patch when they lowered Deathwing's health, which makes sense.
He's absolutely got a place right now in that anti-CC global kind of thing. I think his health is fine, frankly.
I like to call that what you just described, the role that Deathwing fulfills, as the nope role. Just Deathwing just goes nope, except it's much more deep, and a little bit of lava exits the mouth when he hits the P sound in the word. Deckard is up next. Doing okay overall. Safety numbers. Required number of allied heroes nearby to gain bonus reduced from 3 to 2, which is a good thing. But the armor bonus was also reduced from 15 to 10. So losing some armor, but you don't need as many buddies nearby to trigger the buff.
What was the pick rate on this guy?
Didn't pull that one. Give me 2 seconds and I'll let you know.
I'm on it. We got a 24% with Herodric's Staff being at 22 and Scroll of Stone's Curse at 52.
Yeah. Safety numbers needed some help. I'm not sure. This makes it easier, but I'm not sure taking away the armor is going to help.
I really like that it's only 2 allies, though. That makes it more viable in a solo queue environment because you personally can help pull this off more often. I love Herodric's Staff. I've been playing a lot of Deckard lately, more so than Malfurion, because I think Ruby's is just phenomenal and people are really responding to it now. There's also, and I'd like to hipster this and say I've been working on Deckard for the last 2 weeks as my primary support, but I guess Fan posted a video of him 1v5ing people by basically hitting his Ruby and then running into auto attack and collecting up the little potions that are made. in sort of a rhythmic fashion that kept him alive and 1v5'd. So Deckard's everywhere right now, and absolutely looking to be the most popular support in the game for a while.
I'm okay with that as long as you don't try to be fan and you actually heal, because Deckard's healing is amazing.
Yeah, it is really good healing, and I'm not terribly surprised that Scroll of Stone's Curse is what I see most on the enemy side. It is a nice pop and damage. I think that's pretty cool. But man, I love Herodric's staff. Like, you get a DI, anything in your face, and hook him up with a 0.75. And that's an Uther-sized stun for an auto attack. That's great.
Yeah, it's good.
No, I guess it's Uther's out a full second.
Yeah, okay.
It's
close enough.
It's an Imperious sized stun, right?
Listen,
nah, that's a full second.
It's up more often.
Oh wait, can we do it? Can we do it? 1 second. 1 second. Oh no, Impale is 1 second. Okay, never mind. Can we bring it back?
It has more uptime. It has more uptime. That's a lower cooldown than basically everything else. All right, it's time for me to get excited, Kyle. I've been a little poo-pooey this patch.
Oh, the Staff of Kings in the chat. Rename it. That's great. It's a great reference.
Kyle, Tyrande.
Okay, Tyrande.
I'm stoked.
Yeah?
This is great. This is all great. This is all wonderful. Light of Elune, healing increase from 255 to 270. It's almost 6%. It's almost 6%. It doesn't sound like a lot. I played a couple Tyrande games today. I feel like a healer again.
No.
It was just enough. I feel like this was the perfect amount. I feel like they agonized over this. Because it just feels so perfect. It feels so freaking perfect. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's really good. Also, I realized that Tyrande is definitely like bicycle hero for me. I can not play her for a very long time, and it just feels the same. Going back. Just remember exactly how to make Tyrande work. But on top of all this, Harsh Moonlight now applies its slow and damage reduction to all targets hit, as well as visually shrinking them. They, however, did reduce the damage from 40 to 35 and the slow from 40 to 35. Harsh Moonlight has the highest pick rate and the highest win rate at level 13. So this now... It has a higher potential reward, but worse overall if you don't hit more than one enemy hero. It's better than ever if you do hit more than one enemy hero, but not if you just hit one. But there's more potential ceiling on this if you're good with your Sentinel.
Well, and that was kind of the update they did. Basically, Tyrande players are saying, listen, I love old owl building stuff. I got Ranger at 1, which lets me pierce the first hero hit. But my later talents don't work on the pierce part.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went through and updated, as well as the Empower 16 to reduce Sentinel's cooldown by 3 seconds. Heroes hit with Sentinel take bonus damage. And now that also works with the pierce.
Yeah, it used to be first target hit, not all. And now it's all for both of those. You're absolutely right. But the one I am weirdly excited about is Ranger's Mark at 13. Cooldown reduction of Lunar Flare increased from 1.5 to 3 seconds. So Ranger's Mark, and it still has the cooldown reduction of Hunter's Mark at 1 second. So this is, if you've never used this one, and I wouldn't be surprised because it's very, very low pick rate. But when you land a auto attack, it takes 1 second off of your Hunter's Mark cooldown. But if you're attacking your Hunter's Mark target, it's taking cooldown off of Lunar Flare. And so now it's taking 3 seconds off at a time for every auto attack you land on your Hunter's Mark target. That's a lot of Lunar Flare potential.
Interesting. My understanding with Tyrande is that Harsh Moonlight is required. From the words I hear on the street. And we're looking at a 51% pick rate with that. I think a lot of people, particularly now with the visual, not just the old drippies, as we call them, the little downward triangles kind of flowing down your body, meaning your damage is reduced. If they're actually shrinking, that visual is just going to increase Harsh Moonlight's pick rate even more. And if Tyrande was having a healing issue, decreasing enemy damage was great for you. 4 seconds, too. And now she's got better healing? I think you just did a really good job trying to sell Ranger's Mark, but I feel even more invested in Harsh Moonlight.
I mean, if you want to be boring, sure.
Yeah, I am going to be boring.
What is the shot call of this person now does less damage? What is the point? The shot college, you can continue standing where you're standing. Why is that so exciting to you?
Reducing damage?
Yeah.
Oh, because of mistakes.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
it's good,
you will-
but you're also now
yeah.
healing more.
But it's the... Wait, I'm positive on this, right? That's not confused.
What?
I'm all about it.
What?
This is a great update.
Yeah. No. I'm just trying to.
Oh.
I'm continuing to sell Ranger's Mark. I think. I don't know. Harsh Moonlight hits me as win more.
Maybe.
It's a good talent. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah. No, I get, and particularly with the lunar flare there, like that is a very exciting part of it.
and we have spent multiple times. To me, the slow is more important than the reduced damage.
I'm just really excited by any damage decrease.
1 sec. I need to change the server. You're a hardcore robot.
Oh.
One day we'll find a VoIP thing that doesn't make me want to change every 3 months, but I'm about done with Discord.
I mean, we could, like, I don't know. Do we record right after when the lunch meetings happen? Just a home thing right now?
Maybe.
If we record like 9:30, nobody's awake enough to do a Zoom meeting and take up the cubes.
I guess we'll find out, man.
All right, how am I sounding? Are we back?
Yeah, you're back. We're good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Anyways, I like these changes a lot. I'm going to be playing a lot more Tyrande. If nothing else,
Very
it just
cool.
reminded me how much I love this hero.
Let me actually take a quick look at her statistics here.
She's doing great.
'Cause I am, yeah.
She's
Curious.
I think I had a 53% win rate. Where'd Tyrande go? 51. Sorry, 51. But still doing just fine.
Yeah, and our patch is pretty brand new, so we don't have a lot of stats yet.
No, you can't look at the current patch stats. That's just pointless. It's too early.
Okay. Well, let's check on her in 2 weeks and see if she goes up and what her damage is like, because that's the one I'm most curious about. All right, it's also a little villainous. It's a little villainous, Garrett.
Oh?
I kind of love Torbus on ETC, and Tyrande's stun allows me to dodge it with Torbus, and it's so great at stopping Mosh Pit, but it means you get to do one of the funnest 20s there is in the game.
Oh, you're a bastard.
Oh man, it's good. It's good fun.
Well, you know what you do in that case. Come on, you know where I'm leading with this.
Well, the talent where auto attacking randomly shoots stuns.
No, you take Ranger's Mark, so your Lunar Flare cooldowns are reduced.
Ah.
Oh, I took Harsh Moonlight, and everyone's in a mosh pit. Well, who cares about your Harsh Moonlight? I'm just kidding. I'm just being a jerk now, Kyle. Uther,
I'm excited for you. Let's talk about Mystery Man here,
dude. I'm stoked on these support changes. I love these changes on Uther, which is going to sound weird at the very beginning because they nerfed his health again.
Yeah.
2,000 down to 1975. That's a little over a 1% reduction. Health regeneration brought in line with that. That always happens whenever we see health reductions. But here's the exciting part. You have everyone get your tomes out and turn to page Holy Radiance. Because the cooldown has been reduced by 2 seconds. It went from 12 down to 10. Mana cost is down to 55 from 70. That is a massive, massive mana discount. And the healing amount has been increased by just shy of 10%, going from 177 all the way up to 194. This is great. I feel like a healer again. Tyrande, I feel like a healer again. On Uther, I feel like a healer again.
It is nice. It is nice. It's nice for all Uther builds, is how I want to put it. I'm not feeling the Holy Radiance build that's kind of been helped to be constructed alongside this buff.
So you're talking about Wave of Light?
Yeah, I'm not... like, the reward is 0.5 seconds on Devotion.
It's been straight up nerfed. The cooldown reduction was reduced to 3/4 of a second.
I really like the bacon. I got really excited about the possibility of doing a full Holy Radiance build. I don't really enjoy the 16 we added. I think Benediction is just hot, and I think Uther's going to keep playing the way he was. What's...
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Holy Radiance is just got a massive buff. That's all you need.
I would like to clean it up a little bit. And there's a lot of cleaning happening right now. And I think like the Tyrande Piercing Owl thing, we're getting there. And talents that should be stackable are stacking well. So let's give Uther that treatment. Right now we get a 0.5 second increase on devotion when you complete Wave of Light. And that's fun. It's really short. It could be way more attractive with only 25 armor, which feels kind of low. Maybe I've just been playing too much ETC and I have 25 armor whenever I hit a button, and I feel like it's just not as beautiful as it once was. Guardian of the Ancient Kings at level 7. If a hero is stunned, rooted, or silenced, increase that armor from 25 to 50. That text means that if you go Divine Protection at level 20, increase Devotion's armor to 50 and its duration by 0.5, you get no benefit at all from doing this build with Guardian of the Kings at 7. So the first thing I'd like to see is Guardian of Kings, 25 increase. They were very smart about the way they labeled this text. They want me to know that you cannot use this to get to 75 armor, but I want to. If I'm gonna risk it at level 20 and go Divine Protection and give up Redemption, give up these very sexy Bulwarks of Light and Divine Hurricanes, let me go to 75 armor.
That's a lot of armor, Kyle.
I know, but I stacked for it, man. I don't have a cleanse when I do this build. I am missing out on my mana reduction of Silver Touch. So while I still could have gone Holy Shock, it's not as good as it was. What this build is kind of suggesting is that you go Holy Fire, so that when you auto attack people, you increase the damage of your, aura, your immolation. Because Tears? Is that his name? Tears? I've never said it aloud, actually.
Yeah, I say Tears.
Tears Deliverance. Whenever you basic attacks against an enemy hero cause Uther's next Holy Radiance to have damage and healing increased. So we've got like an auto-attacky Uther kind of thing going on here. It's just not very good. And I think the first goal of it would be to say, okay, I do not get all the tools. I do not get the cleanse. I am not as agile. I do not. I may have taken Holy Shock, but I certainly don't have the mana for it. Let me stack to 75.
So you might have the mana for it because they took a ton of. Why won't you have the mana for it? Because you are Holy Radiancing all the time, and they just massively discounted the mana on this patch.
No, my perspective on why I have no mana is because Silver Touch takes my mana cost and reduces it to 40 on my Holy Light. And my Holy Light is usually 80.
Gotcha.
And I could do Hammer of the Lightbringer here, and every auto attack restores mana, and that doesn't have to be on heroes in the first place. But I'm more just kind of riding this Wave of Light build that I want to have exist.
I mean, really, my counterpoint is I don't think anyone is forcing you to go the Wave of Light build, and I don't think you should go the Wave of Light build.
Okay, maybe that's the problem. Is we have buffed a build that I don't think is functioning quite right yet.
The headline here is Wave of Light buffed, or not Wave of Light. Freaking
Holy Radiance. I agree. It should be named something else. It's kind of a weird name. But
yeah, it's a wave. Yeah, the level 1 talent represents the ability more to me than Holy Radiance, but also never really spent much time with the Holy Paladin, so who the hell knows? But I'm just weirdly on board for just the Holy Radiance buff here.
Sure. And I think that with Uther's death rates, if we increase his healing, I'm not upset about his health decrease. I think it.
Yeah, I love support that brings stuns, and I feel like they haven't been very sexy for a while. But now with Tyrande's actual supporting capabilities, actual heals going up, and the same for Uther, I'm excited about thinking these two as supports again.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. I feel like this comes in waves, but I feel like I'm in this wave again right now where people are just forgetting to draft stuns.
That's fair.
So it'd be nice if it could be brought in with the support. Of course, then you have to not take Deckard or someone also rather attractive in terms of supporting, but whatever the case.
Yeah. So we've poked some holes in my argument. I basically want a build they buffed to possibly be a main build for healing. Maybe it's because I see Uther fulfilling the role of a frontline tank stand-in with a snipe in terms of Silver Touch and into Holy Shock. And if he's not that role, I think it's a very cool idea to say, well, what if Uther was kind of like a Deathwing sort of draft where you basically said, all right, my healing in the backline Uther with my big bald frontline, let's go nuts and say we have 5 melee. And everyone's picked melee and you got to pick support. And you say, okay, awesome. I'll go Uther. I'm going to do a full wave of light build. We're going to get you guys all that armor so you can withstand the initial impact of dealing with those ranged characters, and we can win on the other side. And that would give him a solo healer draft spot that he currently doesn't have.
I don't know. I'm seeing a trend here, and I'm wondering if things are going to start getting morphed to where your Tyrandes and Uthers of the world can hang.
Yeah, and that'd be fine too.
Just something about this I find really interesting.
Might be the first step in a longer line of changes.
Possibly. But I'm really excited about these two a lot. So anyway, let's move into Melee Assassin, where Illidan things are happening again. You look as enthused as me.
Oh yeah, okay, I got you. I thought you were gonna dig on him some more.
No, it's just it's Illidan, man. Changes get made to Illidan.
Why are you hating on Illidan? He's like the Chen. There's people who play Illidan. That we wouldn't have the audience we do for this game if it wasn't for Illidan. What do you want from the guy?
You don't want to know you don't want my answer on that one.
What?
Illidan's like Chen if Chen just dies when
maybe.
Illidan is the Stitches of melee assassins.
All right, you want to know the truth again? I gotta reveal. I'm stoked on Illidan's because I get to do a very unique Mal'Ganis build. So it's a lot like the Tyrande thing. Like, I want these heroes to be more prevalent because I get to do things like Echo of Doom that causes my Necrotic Embrace to explode a second time and deal damage. I get to do things like Spreading Plague. It's just, I love taking block talents in Illidan, any armor kind of thing to mess with him to reduce his damage output. That means he deals less, gets more self-healing out of it. Like, it's just fun. I've gotten that way a little bit about Sammy too, now that he's not having as big of a heyday. It's kind of fun. You get to do some cute things. Like Junkrat. We're going to talk about Junkrat today. I'm excited for Arthas. Because Junkrats throw out their tire and stand there, and giant space lasers rain down on the Junkrats, and they die. And that's a really, really fun counterplay. It's like when all the Annas go Eye of Horus, and you go Arthas because you laser her while she stands.
I mean, yeah, still. I would like Illidan to be more prevalent too, because that means I get to pick Arthas, because it's just amazing. You're like, oh yeah, I got him, because no one bans Arthas. They pick but I just don't think we're going to see more. These are just underpicked talents getting spruced up, and Illidan's not really bringing it home right now. So I don't think buffing up Rapid Chase, Hunter's Onslaught, and Fiery Brand is gonna change that.
And there's something really weird. I mean, it's kind of like that Uther armor where they're being careful about the text on Rapid Chase, but I don't really understand it. Dive grants 20% movement speed for 3 seconds. If the target is an enemy here, reduce its cooldown by 1 second. Oh, because you can target lane minions and stuff. But you get a 1 second cooldown? I guess it's a 5 second cooldown then? I don't know. Maybe I thought it would look more exciting once I figured it out, and I realized it's just not very exciting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
because I assume they're all friend or foe still. Yeah. That's been that way for a long time.
Melee assassins are challenging in their own right, and we've talked about this before. Like, there's a big risk reward with them. Usually there's a high risk to just playing a melee assassin in the first place, right? And so you want the reward to be worth it. And Illidan is one where I look at it very black and white, in that it's like, if I'm going to take the risk on an Illidan pick, why wouldn't I just pick Kerrigan? Because I think the reward is significantly greater on Kerrigan versus the risk on Illidan. They're both risky. They can both get caught out and die. But Kerrigan is comboing and stunning people and setting up for the team, whereas Illidan is just hoping that someone breaks off and they can chase them down.
Yeah.
But in a stand-up team fight, it's very awkward for Illidan.
Right, and that goes into territory that I'm sure the devs don't want me to say either. And why would you bring that up? It's ammo, as dumb as it is, like mercenary camps, Illidan, evasion. It was all it. He hasn't had the same time in the game since ammo was removed, because he was really good at getting rid of ammo, and taking camps.
Yeah,
that was it.
He's too cute, I guess is really what it comes down to with Illidan. But anyways.
Which I'm not sad about, because that same world meant Falstad was in every single game too. So we have we love to talk about ammo as this, removing it was this strategy ruining thing. But really, it opened up more heroes to perform all those roles. But it means in the current iteration of the game, we just don't care about merc camps, really. And that's kind of weird.
Here's hoping for an anomaly.
Yeah. Well, we got one more, right? They said one more.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Kira up next. Enjoying a nice, even 50% win rate at the moment. Dev said that they're making some simple talent changes that should help Kira's tiers be more competitive. Siphoning Link in particular should be a lot more attractive now that it provides a bonus that is not reliant on hitting her revolving sweep, which is on a fairly long cooldown. And so, yeah, Siphoning Link, additional functionality. Kira heals for 20% of her damage dealt by basic attacks. This has a 5% pick rate.
Wow. Holy moly.
Yeah. Has a high win rate, but you have to take it with a grain of salt because there's just not that many games logged with it.
Yeah. Damaging a hero with revolving sweep's initial impact or swing causes regeneration versus the heal monger and the thirst. Huh. We actually ran a Kira last night in our Heroes Lounge game as a double soaker. Basically, our plan versus Imperius is, well, we're never going to team fight. Let's run around in circles. And we did pretty damn.
I love that. That's great.
And we always take them to Dragonshire for it, because we're really good at running around in circles and running up and down between the two until we can find a fight we like.
Nice.
But on the side of that, like recently there was that update to Kira where Silent Killer did the silencing while it was loading up. And that won us our final fight of the game, actually. So I'm pretty into Kira right now without having any understanding of what exactly she does outside of Papia in quick match, and it hurts lots.
Yeah, she's filed away in the exact same place in my brain, dude, which is like, oh man, I love fighting alongside of Kira. What does she do? Why is she good at it, Garrett? I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't play her.
Damage and heals herself, and she's like a little lighter than a bruiser, so she gets a melee assassin tag, but otherwise she's a bruiser in my book. Like,
yeah.
Maybe it's just a burden of riches, honestly.
Kira should kind of be a bruiser, in my opinion.
Hey, I think it's just kind of the problem with things like Orpheum, maybe even Mephisto too. We have really, really cool newer heroes that are tough to get good at, and so we don't see them very often.
Or
I'd
again,
love to see more Kiras.
We finally go down to a system where we have very basic categories and then tags that are split between all of them.
Exactly.
To me, that's just how I think about them already. Let's just have melee, ranged, tank, heal, and then add all these little tags. Add them in.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's. Maybe someday I'll get one of those tier list builders, and instead of tiers, I'll put tags, and I'll just spend like 8 hours on stream, and I'll make it.
Oh, can we do this in person with like a wall with like magnets? And
that'd be badass. Yeah.
What was it? The Top Gear used to have the cool wall.
Yeah.
And it was like how cool a car was. And so you could be in one of the 4 sections, but also how high on the wall it was dictated like granularity of coolness. Really, I would love to just rebrand this entire show as Top Gear, because we could totally like talk about these heroes as cars.
Oh, sure. We could wear funny T-shirts and have an audience. Yeah, it'd be grand.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Zeratul, Kyle. Pretty straightforward here. According to the devs, they missed the mark with their initial changes to Zeratul's level 20 talents. They're beefing them up more to be competitive. If you do not remember, this was all the way back on the June 3rd patch. We got 2 new level 20s for Zeratul, Unwavering Pressure and Shadow Stride, and no one is taking these talents. 3% pick rate on Unwavering Pressure on the last patch on Hans Logs, and 6% for Shadow Stride. Twilight Falls is the most popular, with a decent amount of Zeratools opting for Shadow Mending. It's between those two. Those are your 2 ridiculous level 20 power spikes that make Zeratul the scary nightmare that we all think of when we think of a level 20 Zeratul. And we're getting buffs here, but I remain unconvinced.
Yeah, it's got to be a tall order to come up with. I'm not even talking about just balance. I'm talking about like things that compete in terms of wild coolness as Twilight Falls and Shadow Melding. And Shadow Melding is extremely, boring. Heal for 60% of the spell damage dealt to heroes, but that's all you need.
But yeah, and especially, and that's, compare that to Shadow Stride. Additional functionality, now it grants Zeratul a shield. Well, why do you need a shield if you're just healing for 60%? That's a ton of healing. Do you need a shield? No, you don't.
And you can engage with low health and put your health back up. You can stay engaged. The shield isn't going to, help you recover that, nor reduce the burden on your support player, or healer, who is trying to take care of you and heal you up between those engages.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And then Unwavering Pressure now removes the mana cost of Singularity Spike, and then basic attacks against non-heroic targets reduce the cooldown of Singularity Spike by 1.25 seconds and by 2.5 seconds against enemy heroes, which again is nice. Really, I think the highlight here is the cooldown reduction and less so the mana cost, because you're getting value out of this. Like, people are dying, and at your level 20, the death timers are long. Like, how much of a concern is the
reduce the cooldown versus reset all cooldowns on Twilight Falls. I don't blame anybody for passing. And going.
Yeah. These two kind of go toe to toe with the other 2 most popular level 20s, and I don't think win the fight.
Right, and I don't really know what you give Zeratul otherwise, right? That's the butt heads moment here. Is we've been in a world, Void Prison does not need a level 20, and I think it's really cool that there's not a required level 20 associated with it for Zeratools who want to play more creative. My the Nerazim is a risk, but you get 20, and now you have this big reward of Twilight Falls. Like, what do you give the guy? Do you let him teleport further? No. Do you let him be global? No. Like, you're not going to increase his damage. So they have to be these really weird talents. What an uphill battle that must be, trying to come up with level 20s for Zeratul.
It's got to be, but I think we're kind of arriving at, like, the power pie needs to be redistributed.
Yeah,
like the other 2 20s are just too good. And there's too much of a power spike at 20 with Zeratul. I think we need to remove some from the 20 and disperse it across the rest of the levels. But for something like Twilight Falls, like what do you do? How do you mess with that power pie if it's a reset of cooldowns?
That's true. We could give him kind of the Mephisto treatment or the Deckard treatment with the 20s. We could give and I'm talking to chat here, they offered like Void Prison gives a CC when it ends, like a root or something in there. Slows in an area.
Slow in an area would be very trendy.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would be. It would be quite trendy.
It would fit in this meta very well. So, we'll find out. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure this is not the last we've seen of Zeratul changes. Range Assassins, Cassia getting some nerfs. Surge of Light, damage going down. Well, that's it. That's the nerf. And then Power Strike actually got additional functionality. So heroes hit by Lightning Fury reduce its cooldown by 1 second. So they're trying to rein in Surge of Light and maybe entice you to take Power Strike here.
It's only a 35-point reduction when we're looking at, just these level 1 values. Surge of Light is still great. Cassie is still great. This is not enough to remove her. But I'm also very happy with the bans on her right now because we're not over-restricting tanks.
I'm just happy with Cassia overall. When she gets in the games, I'm not completely losing it. Like, I'm losing the Cassia for sure, but it doesn't feel like it's lost because Cassia's in the game. It feels like a solid fight, a winnable fight. And And at the same time, I don't think it's wrong to ban her, and I like the effect that's having on the meta. So yeah, I'm with you.
I still think it's the answer to me is take away the every third basic attack deals 50% more damage. Keep the bounce on charge strikes, but get rid of that bonus damage. And I think we'd see more talent diversity from my perspective.
Yeah. And then we're on to Chromie, where the devs have said that once again, the first time is dominating Chromie's level 1 talents, which is in turn greatly influences which talents Chromie players want to take on the later tiers. So the primary goal of these changes is to provide compelling alternative ways to play her that can compete with what the talent currently offers.
Right, and the great the talent is called once again the first time, not that they're saying once again this darn talent called first time is running amok.
Yes, and they haven't messed with once again the first time. So they're just trying to beef up Deep Breathing, Time Walker's Pursuit, and the lines of build beyond that.
They're also doing some slowing sands, and they're letting it build at 10% to go at 0.25 seconds in there from 7%. So you're going to have a much, much slow, faster.
Yeah, I ran through one on a mount today and was just like, God, get me through this, please.
It's intense. What's interesting is that Chromie isn't really in our brains when we're drafting, so the counterplay to Sands can be very non-existent. I'm curious to know what the plan is overall with Chromie there. It's an interest. It's a fascinating meta. It really is.
It's not like she's running away with win rate, though. I think it's fine.
No, she's not.
I don't think we need to be concerned about that, really. I don't know. We could dedicate an entire episode to talking about like when is it okay to not have a counter to something?
Yeah, that is an issue, and I think it's very healthy that we have like early pick Raynor or Lunar available, but we don't exactly have maybe answers to late pick Junkrats or Chromies.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of what the answer is, I don't think we want to go back to that world, which is cleanses on supports. Everybody's got cleanse.
Yeah.
Because then you're saying, all right, support. It's not that we didn't draft wrong. It's that you now you are forced to take cleanse because of these late pick heroes.
We did just buff 2 healers that have cleanses.
Wait, Tyrande has a cleanse?
It's built into her heal.
Ooh. It's just a little. It's just one of the little cleanses, right?
It's a littler cleanse, but it gets rid of a decent amount. Let me pull it up real fast. I always forget because it is one of the more specific ones.
Oh, you're talking about
Stuns,
talents,
silences, and slows, but it's all the way at 16.
Oh, holy moly!
Yeah, so never mind. Not a little cleanse.
Okay, so that is a straight up removes. Yes. So you're not unstoppable. You don't get the cleanse, but that's a remove. At level 16, holy moly!
And it's on the heal, so you have 2 charges of it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually not a bad idea. A good mention there. What a long road that would be.
Sorry, I forgot you can't pre-cleanse with that one, but still. Alrighty then. Junkrat, I believe, is next. You were really excited to talk about this one. Basic attack damage just up.
Yeah.
110 to 120.
I think that I don't want to return to Junkrat meta. This is an upgrade to his basic attack, which is really nice. Otherwise, we're looking at underpick talents for the most part. And nothing trap oriented here. So the builds that might frustrate are not getting worse. So this is all fine. But I think much like Chen, this could lead to an encouragement of Junkrats to see more Junkrat, and we could find ourselves just because of that in another Junkrat meta.
You want to say Junkrat a few more times?
No, I'm good. I'm spent.
Oh, okay. I am too. I'm good. And then Zul'jin. What's going on with one of your old favorites, Kyle?
Old hard Raynor, huh?
Old hard Raynor. That explains.
Zul'jin's getting a very cool level 20. A surprise for ya is the name of it. Basic attacks bounce to a nearby enemy for 50% damage, prioritizing heroes.
Do you want to take it?
Well, this is another opportunity for some cleanup. Because if we cleaned up Tyrande in this way, I'm curious as to why we didn't do it with Zul'jin. Zul'jin's secondary auto attack, this one that bounces, is not benefiting from Grievous Throw, nor does it give stacks. Which, level 20, if you need stacks, if you've had a rough game, I guess, and maybe we shouldn't go, guys, it's okay, I'll get to full stacks at 20. I'm just going to take a talent that exposes me and doesn't give me the survivability of Armani Resistance or... Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think I follow. You want to clean up.
Yeah.
Some cleanup is in order.
Yep. I just want to see if Surprise for you gets all the benefits of making auto attacks, gives two. Well, he's not one of those, one and done kind of guys. He gets, you have to do 5 basic attacks to get 1 stack of the U1 axe. But if we could have it work into that, if it worked with Grievous Throw, we can enter a world where the full Grievous Throw build can be very enticing with Bone Slicer and Vicious Assaults and No Mercy for ignoring armor. Granted, that's like you hit 2 targets and have armor and you're like, haha, like no armor for anybody. It's a very unique situation, but it could happen. And that all could be possible if Surprise for you is available.
Cool. So Tyrande is like your poster child for this patch of like this is very well rounded, cleans everything up, and you kind of want to see that intermingled with maybe Uther, maybe Zul'jin.
Exactly. Okay. And also after the ETC it was a build that you happen to note that it's stacked together. And now with the pictures in tow changed up to be on that guitar solo, it is very clear that these talents in a row all function. And I like that a lot. I'm excited to see more. I think there's been a phenomenal job cleaning up what I call in my head the Magic the Gathering of our abilities. I think the game is continually getting more clean. And when we introduce new things, maybe we sometimes have to go back in and re-add that layer.
Well, like the couple times I said trendy, today. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like we see these themes in how Heroes of the Storm is designed. We went through the quest trend, right?
Yeah.
Years ago now. We went through the armor trend. And so right now it seems like we're in kind of a slow trend.
Auto attacking, slowing thingamabobber.
Yeah, which wouldn't mind seeing more of, especially when we're about to get a shiny new league. And I'm sure bursts will be on full display again. That'd be cool if we spread that slow out even more, maybe even to attack speed or cooldowns or something of that nature, just so fights last a little longer and there's more of an argument for things like auto attack.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see I think more than anything, I'm curious to see what the state of cleanse looks like in organized play right now. I don't think it needs to change, but they could prove us very wrong.
I will. The only thing I think is I'm immediately, you just threw me in a time machine back to HGC going, I want all cleanse effects to be much more noticeable so that I as a spectator am abundantly clear when a clutch cleanse comes down.
Sure.
So, and frankly, wouldn't be bad as a player to just know, especially for pre-cleansing. It'd be good to know and be made abundantly clear that happened and you can adjust accordingly. That I'm seeing Ice Wall. It's really obvious. It's a giant red rectangle on the ground when Ice Wall is about to hit. So that's what you're making me think of again. Because we used to talk about that all the time back in HGC days.
Yeah.
That cleanse was just a little too damn subtle to make for exciting viewing experience. But
well, that was also an interesting critique on where we were at esports at the time. I really like the game to be highly readable. And I think we've made big strides for that because I want the casters to spend more of their time analyzing the game rather than telling me when a cleanse hit. Because that's not interesting dialogue to me.
It's a split second. if you want to go, oh, the cleanse, and then get right back into analyzation, it's fine.
Sure. Hey. You know what's kind of funny though is they called the shots, very rarely talked about the overall state of the game and where it was going, and people said education was going to go down after HGC. That's just silly. If anything, HGC encouraged more team fighting. Because you know what StarCraft esports encouraged me to do? Expand. Because they spent most of the time talking about good expansions and well-defended things.
Oh, man. Dude, go watch some GSL.
I want to.
My favorite thing now is that it's gone on so long that Tastosis, they just straight up will be like, wow, that was terrible. Why would he do that? just brutal.
Why not? The game's been out for a while.
Yeah, it's real entertaining. It's great. It's great. It's a good time. Anyways, man, I think that brings us to the end of the patch notes, which brings us to the end of this episode of Into the Nexus. Folks, if you want to write in and be a part of the show, you can do so over at itncast@gmail.com. And if you're supporting us over at Patreon, you can message us right in the Discord. We have a questions for the show channel that you can drop questions right in there. You can also mention Kyle or I if you have something that's a little more time sensitive. So go check that out and go to patreon.com/ITN if you want to support the show. And speaking of which, huge thanks to our producers. Thank you to Declan H, Cheesy Bob, Chris K, and Mike C. We have one more producer slot open, so check it out if you want to be our next producer over at patreon.com/ITN. Other than that, you can catch us live Thursdays over at twitch.tv/AMoveTV. You can join us in the chat and hang out with the fine folks in here who are making fun of me for saying analyzation, which is not a word. You are right.
Well, it sounds like a great word.
It's fun to say.
I support it.
It's fun to say.
Yeah. You didn't say like most worst or whatever. One of those people really hate her.
Worcester?
Yeah, Worcester. Yeah,
And that's a sauce for fish.
Or I use it in barbecue sauce when I make barbecue sauce.
Oh, no.
A little bit in there.
I don't think I have ever made barbecue sauce. No.
It's fun. You ever make your own honey mustard?
No.
You should, because it's just mustard and honey and pepper. Like you'll save a lot of money making your own honey mustard.
Good to know. That's
Quarantine facts, man.
For the cocktails, man, we make all our own simple syrups because it's just X amount of sugar and water. They're really easy to make. Why are they $5 to $7 at the grocery store?
Dude, yeah, I don't know. And now the grocery store is kind of stressful, so it's like I could make this at home. I'm gonna do it. I'm not going to the grocery store for honey mustard.
You don't like watching the one 90-year-old not wearing a mask sneezing on your bananas?
Listen, I don't like seeing the range of everything. I like to play by the rules. And, conversation for another week, Sauce.
Had my first person making a scene that I was there for.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had the first one of those the other day. I went to Moe's for the first time this year, which you know how much I love Moe's.
They made a scene in Moe's, huh?
Made a scene in Moe's, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Made a scene in Moe's.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Not where I'd pick. Yeah.
It was great. It was over very quickly. It's over very, very quickly. Anyways, folks, Kyle, you do all sorts of stuff besides Into the Nexus. Where can people find you?
You can find me over at KyleFergusson.com, 2 S's in Fergusson, where next week, DMGI is back. DM Gives Inspiration, the 5th edition Dungeon Master How-To and, Inspiration show, is entering its 6th season of episodes. Check it out in podcast form. It's also got its own YouTube, which we're going to be messing with a little bit here. Speaking of YouTube, be sure to head over to Heroes Hearth, youtube.com/Heroes Hearth, and check out the educational videos that are being produced by myself with their assistants over there.
Sweet. It's a good show. People should totally check it out. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. This show and every single other one that I produce can be found at amove.tv. Brand new Angry Chicken and WoW Killer went up just yesterday. So if you want to hear Taliesin and myself get really excited about Shadowlands, because the pre-patch just hit PTR, which means it's right around the freaking corner. And then we got a big old Battlegrounds patch for Hearthstone. If you want to hear Jocelyn and myself break that down, you can go check out the Angry Chicken. That's going to wrap it up.
I won with Illidan.
What about Illidan?
I won with him in Battlegrounds.
That's surprising. He's not a good hero.
I did great.
I believe he's bottom 5.
Yeah, no. You know, I feel like I cheated. I put 2 of them shieldy dragons on each side, so I didn't lose them.
Oh, the Bronze Warden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bronze Warden, I think, has the highest combat win rate of a tier 3 minion at on natural curve up of tavern tiers. If you're taverning up,
very advanced. Yeah. No,
it's a really good freaking minion. It's
I use my things to give them more health, so they're good at their things they do.
They're very good. They're very, very.
I don't
very
like
good.
getting a third one. I like having 2 instead. That's my secret.
You'd rather have 2 than so you'd rather have 2 buff divine shields with reborn than 1 big divine shield with reborn.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
That's my secret strat.
It used to be my old mech strat. I would never combine the divine shield mechs. I'd always have 2 of them. But mech just can't really win right now.
No, not a good place for.
They're a great 4th through 3rd place finish build. They are a terrible 2nd through 1st place.
Well, ever since they added dragons and pirates, it's just hard to get the mechs you need.
They also just they don't scale well. Pirates scale well. Dragons scale the best. And now that Murlocs have been nerfed, Kyle, they've nerfed Murlocs finally. I think dragons are probably the strongest composition in the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, but you can hear all about that on the Angry Chicken this week. So go check it out, everybody. That's gonna wrap it up for this episode of Into the Nexus. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Good luck in your games, everybody, and have fun.
Take